Years ago, I was preaching. This is when I was preaching alone. I just started, and this guy comes up to me saying he needs a bus ticket. So he's asking for some money. And back then, I would get abused by all the people begging for money. I'd be scammed out of money. Because Christians are an easy mark out there, and they're like, "Oh, Christian, he'll give me money." So I started saying, "Okay, you want some money? Sure, I'll give you some money. Hand out some Bible tracts for about an hour." So he did. But while he was handing out Bible tracts, he was singing. Like, he had joy, and he had a great voice. His name was Emmanuel. That was his name. And he just sang, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So after an hour, I said, "Okay, hey, tell you what, here's some money. Let me go ahead and buy you a sub at Subway." So we went over to Subway. I bought him a sub, and I basically paid for his bus ticket. I gave him money for the bus ticket. And he was so thankful that, he said, "You got to meet my mother." So I'm like, okay. So I drove him home after we finished, the ministry and everything. And Mrs. Yulee was her name. And I met her and everything like that. And next thing you know, every time I'd go to Ebro, I'd stop by her house and we talked, fellowship. So that went on for years. Well, probably 15 years later, all right, I'm on the street. Now I don't look the same. I got the long beard and everything like that. I'm grayer. And this guy comes up to me. Not to me, but the guy I was preaching with. He goes, "Hey, do you know a Keffer, Mr. Keffer?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's him." He goes, "Hey, I'm Emmanuel." And he came back after 15 years looking me up in Ybor City. I just happened to be there that night, which is amazing. And we got to catch up. And he had a ministry now up in, I think it was in North Carolina. So that's some pretty good fruit. I was like, it was just joyful, Weren't you there that night?
I was the one that sent him over to you.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. So the venues that I've preached in the past were large venues. Like we would do New Year's Eve in Las Vegas, okay, in front of Caesar's Palace. You'd be in contact with like 1 million people in that night. In those hours, 1 million people would pass by you. And then when we'd finish up at like 1 o'clock, then we'd go to a house, meet up, and drive to Los Angeles. And then we would go march in the Rose Bowl parade, where you'd be in front of like a couple million more, like 3 or 4 million more people. And we'd get behind at the very end of the Rose Bowl parade and walk it through. So in one 24-hour period, we'd have like a 5 million people contact with just holding banners or however, preaching. We wouldn't preach 5 million, but as you're walking and preaching and so forth. So that's one avenue of like a large event. And then you do your local events, you do your local street preaching, you do...
Narrow is the way in which he leads me, and there is not time to disobey. I just want to get to where I'm going, and he's the only one who knows the way.